conservative new media viewers, LA Lakers fans around the world, JLin fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, and we're here to discuss the Lakers' 98-94 defeat last night against the Portland Trail Blazers in Portland, Oregon. With the defeat, the Lakers dropped to 11-24 on the season. The Trailblazers improved to 27-8 on the season. Excuse me. Let's go over stats very quickly. Trailblazers were led by Damian Lillard's 39 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. LaMarcus Aldridge added 21 points and 8 rebounds as well. The Lakers got 23 points and 14 rebounds from Jordan Hill. Very excellent showing by him. JLin off the bench, 14 points in 21 minutes played. 5 of 10 shooting from the field, including 0 of 2 from three-point range. 4 of 6 from the free throw line. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 0 block shots, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls, and his plus-minus was a -2. Now, I'm going to do things a little bit different in this video than I usually do. Usually in the long video, I will do a quarter by quarter of the game. And I'm just going to, because this video is getting up late, I'm just going to make it shorter than that. I'm just going to kind of talk more about Jeremy specifically. I will go over the game very quickly, but I'm not going to do a full quarter by quarter. I want to focus a little bit more on Jeremy and where I think things are heading for him with the Lakers and in his career overall. There are a lot of people who are very upset with how Byron Scott is using JLin, and that are Lin fans. And I understand that. So I want to talk about this. And I'm actually kind of in a way that's odd, I know, for a lot of other Lin fans. I actually feel pretty good about where Jeremy's at right now from an overall sense. And I'll discuss that in a minute. First, let me just say a couple things, background things that were happening around the game. Usually we'll talk about things leading up to the game and then the pregame before the television pregame before the game. The first thing I want to say is we want to send our regards to the family of General Manager Mitch Kupchak. The family lost their 15-year-old daughter, Alina Kupchak, to what was termed a long-term illness. I don't know any more details about it, but apparently Alina passed away yesterday. And I can't imagine losing a child 15 years old. That is just horrible. So we send out our sincere thoughts and prayers to the Kupchak family and the greater Lakers family. That's just awful. So hopefully Alina's in a better place now, and we hope that the family is able to manage this in the best way that they can with the help of helping each other out and with whatever faith or belief system that they have. It's a terrible loss, and for JLin fans, you know that Kevin McHale, his family went through a similar thing with their young daughter. So it's you never know what's going to happen. So hopefully things will be, again, better for Alina now. Now, there was a trade in the NBA last night between the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the New York Knicks. Originally, it was reported that the trade was going to involve Reggie Jackson, the backup guard for the Thunder. Apparently, it did not involve him. Had it involved him, that would have been another player that might have been off the market who could become a free agent this upcoming summer that might be competing for a spot as a point guard against Jeremy. He's one of the only players that's kind of out there who could be competing directly for Jeremy for a point guard spot next year that might be free to be had by a team, just like Jeremy's going to be a free agent this upcoming season. This upcoming summer. So, but that didn't happen. So we just, as of now, Reggie Jackson will be a free agent, and so Jeremy's going to have to see how teams feel about him and how they feel about Reggie Jackson, at least at this point in the season. Okay, now, when the game did begin, it was mentioned by the Lakers announcers that Byron Scott liked the way that JLin, Nick Young, and Carlos Boozer were playing together as a unit off the bench. And we did see them playing a good amount together against the Portland Trailblazers, although Nick and Carlos came into the game sooner than Jeremy did. So I have to admit, as I did on Twitter, that I was wrong about the way that Byron Scott was looking at using Jeremy's minutes in this game. My thought was that with Kobe playing one of the games in the back-to-back, that Byron might be looking to use Jeremy more against Portland. But during the broadcast, it was brought up that Byron views Damian Lillard as the main threat on the Blazers, even more so than power forward LaMarcus Aldridge. And so because Byron sees Ronnie Price as his kind of defensive guy, it looked like Ronnie was going to play the bulk of the minutes in this game. So as I said, I was definitely wrong about that. And that lends credence to the Lin fans who just believe that Byron wants to use Ronnie most of the time as compared with Jeremy. It definitely looks that way. And Byron Scott, after the game, said that Ronnie Price getting injured during this game, I'll mention that and I'll discuss that in a second, affected the outcome. So obviously Byron sees Price as his main guy, particularly as his main defensive guy, even though, let's be honest here, Ronnie didn't slow down Damian Lillard much. He really didn't. Damian did quite well against Ronnie and against Jeremy. Also, Damian's one of the best clutch players in the NBA. He's proven that. He certainly proved it against the Houston Rockets in the playoffs last year, but he's consistently proven that recently. There are statistics for that. He's got a reputation for that. The thing with Damian is he gets tremendous elevation on his jump shot. So they will run screens for him, picks for him, will the Blazers. And then Damian gets a step or two on his defender, and he can just get so high off the ground for his jump shot that it's very difficult to contest it in a serious way. And he knows that. So when he's going up and he's jumping up high to get his shot, he knows somebody's probably not going to get up there with him. So he can just kind of be calm and focus and relax and take his time and hit his shot. Actually, the way that Lillard elevates on his jump shot reminds me of how Kobe used to be. One of the things that allowed Kobe to be as good of a scorer as he has been is he would get so high up on his jump shot that it becomes difficult to challenge it. And Lillard has a lot of that same thing in him as well. Now, as far as Ronnie, I think late in the third quarter, he was hit by an elbow to the face by Thomas Robinson. the backup power forward for the Blazers, and he suffered a really nasty cut, apparently to the bridge of his nose, and it just would not stop bleeding. They couldn't get it to stop bleeding. He was back in the locker room getting stitched up. Hopefully Ronnie will be available for the next game, but that was the reason why he was not available for the last 14 minutes of game time in this particular contest. Finally, as with the Lakers and injury situations, apparently Wes Johnson got an MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, for a strained hip flexor, and I guess it showed nothing too serious, so Wes should be coming back soon as well, so that's good. Now, let me just quickly go over the game before I get more into this discussion about Jeremy. The Blazers were up by 2 points going into the half, and then the Lakers turned the tables on them in the third period. By the end of the third period, the Lakers were up by 3, and the Lakers were able to kind of push that lead a little bit and maintain it going into the fourth quarter, Jeremy manning the point, and then the Blazers just kind of slowly reeled the Lakers in and overtook them, and they were able to win the last 48 or so seconds of the game after the Lakers had taken a 1-point lead, and just kind of put the Lakers away. As I mentioned, much of this was Damian Lillard with a little bit of LaMarcus Aldridge sprinkled in. I'm sure there's plenty of doubters and haters talking about Jeremy sucks and Jeremy got crushed by Damian Lillard, et cetera, et cetera. Much of what was happening was off of pick and rolls. It was Jeremy getting screened and then Damian Lillard being free. Some of it was Damian Lillard against Jeremy, and so some of it was the defensive responsibility of Jeremy, and some of it was that the Lakers' big men were not helping Jeremy off of the pick and roll action by the Blazers. So a lot of it actually was that. Now, I know Byron said after the game, as I mentioned, yeah, we really missed Ronnie, and again, thinking that Ronnie would have made a huge difference and so on and so forth. I doubt it. I doubt that. But you never know. We'll never know. And the Lakers played extremely well in this game. It's another game they played well against the top team in the league without Kobe Bryant. They were not able to win, and of course, the Lakers announcers reminded us that the team really missed Kobe late. But it's hard to be upset about how the team played tonight or how they played last night. They lost by 4 points. The odds on this game coming into the game were Blazers by 12.5 points. So they did what they could. The Blazers right now are 16-3 at home all season. They very rarely lose at their own home arena. And it's, like I said, the Lakers played great for most of this game. And I would have been a lot happier if the Lakers had won, but I'm not really upset because they played well in this game. So now let me just, again, this is different than what we usually do. We usually do things differently and go through quarter by quarter. How Jeremy played in this game was he played effectively in the time that he was on the court. He only played 21 minutes, even with Ronnie being injured for the last 14 minutes of playing time. He played fewer minutes than Ronnie did for the second night in a row. Jeremy shot the ball well. He shot 50% from the field. He missed his 2 3-point attempts, but that happens. One of them was an air ball late, but he got a good look on the shot. Portland closed in on him quickly, and he didn't have his momentum going the way that he wanted to. He didn't get as much forward motion into his shot as what he thought he could. And that's why it just ended up being short. It actually looked like it was right on target. It was just short. So it happens. It's just something you got to go through and whatever. Now, Jeremy did have 2 turnovers, and I looked at his turnovers per 36 number. And we mentioned the other day that it was at 3.0, which is the best number for him since his rookie year. Now it's back up to 3.1, but it's still not too bad. But hopefully Jeremy can get that at 3.0 or below at the end of the year. That would be a good goal for him. Also with Jeremy, his PER number, player efficiency rating, is back up to like 14.3 or something, which is good. It had dipped down to maybe 13 or maybe even high 12s, and so that's good. The average number for an NBA player is 15.0. So kind of Jeremy's progressing back to that number, and hopefully he can get beyond it as the season goes along. Now, I want to talk about Jeremy and his future and why I'm actually feeling fairly optimistic about things. And why I'm actually feeling fairly optimistic about things for him in Los Angeles, which people think, a lot of Jeremy Lin fans think I'm nuts. Why are you thinking this way? I mean, most Jeremy Lin fans right now are saying, look, Jeremy's got to leave L.A. Byron doesn't like him. This is the wrong situation. He's getting phased out of the team, or his minutes are being reduced steadily, and so on. It does look like that right now. It is clearly the case that Ronnie Price is Byron's guy. There's no doubt about that after these last 2 games. Here's why I feel the way I feel. First of all, Jeremy put a blog post on his website, his official website, and I did not get to read it yet, but I was told about what it said. Apparently, what Jeremy said was he feels more comfortable now. He's starting to settle in. And I think he's beginning to get a sense of what Byron Scott wants out of him, where Kobe is coming from in terms of how Kobe's looking at Jeremy. I think he's getting more settled into the LA community. And that's really important for somebody like Jeremy. As we've discussed before, Jeremy is a guy that needs to feel comfortable and kind of in his element to be his best. Now, we've discussed also the best markets, the best cities for Jeremy to be in the NBA. Now, we've all talked about, I know I've discussed it many times, hey, what about Jeremy with the Dallas Mavericks? Hey, what about Jeremy with the San Antonio Spurs? What about Jeremy with this team or that team? All of that's true. But I think everything being equal, the best market for Jeremy is Los Angeles. So I think he personally likes Los Angeles. And he's from California. So in terms of his mental comfort and his being at peace with his environment, which is important to him to be his best, California works and LA works. And that's a large part of why I'm saying what I'm saying and why I'm feeling optimistic, because I see Jeremy likes LA. And he's beginning to feel like he's in where he wants to be, or settling in. Another thing with Jeremy, and why I'm feeling positive, is that Jeremy himself said recently that he is feeling better and all, even though things might not change. And what I take that to mean is that he may remain as a bench player for the foreseeable future, which I don't think, given the way Byron's treating Ronnie, I don't think that's a big surprise to anybody. What I'm starting to feel, I think that the Lakers are grooming Jeremy for the future. Ronnie Price is, I believe, 31 years old. Ronnie Price is not the future for the Lakers at point guard. He's not that guy. He's a little bit, he's older in his career. And Ronnie's not a top level player. Again, Ronnie's been playing great recently, so I'm not trying to diss Ronnie. But Ronnie doesn't have that kind of Lakers pizzazz or flash that the team likes, like going back to their Showtime days or when they picked up somebody like Steve Nash. Jeremy does have that. If you've noticed what Kobe and Byron Scott, and those two communicate all the time. I've said before, believe that Byron Scott is the coach of the team because Kobe wanted him to be. Both of them have discussed Jeremy's ability level. Kobe in the championship point guard, Kobe's talked about how much ability and talent Jeremy has, how athletic Jeremy is. Byron has also said that, and even recently Byron has said things such as, we all know that Jeremy could be doing more, or Jeremy could be giving us more, whatever. What that says to me is that they want to work to shape and mold Jeremy to become that guy. Now, if the Lakers go out this summer and they go and pick up Reggie Jackson, well then, obviously, maybe that's not the case. And I'm wrong here, which again, I could certainly be wrong here. I think that the Lakers, and forget about Kobe and Byron Scott, even though they've clearly stated that they know how much ability Jeremy has. And Kobe has said things like, Jeremy's just got to go through it. In other words, Jeremy's a young and inexperienced player, and he's got to make mistakes, and then he can basically go from the caterpillar to the butterfly. I believe that the Lakers organization, meaning Mitch Kupchak, who we know has been interested in Jeremy his entire career, and the Lakers ownership, the bosses, I think they really want to keep Jeremy around. What's going to happen then is Jeremy and his team are going to have to make a decision. Do they leave LA and try to find a starting spot around the league? Or do they stay in LA and kind of commit to maybe being in this backup role for maybe, obviously the rest of this year, although they don't have to commit to that. That's already happening. Maybe it happens for another year or something. But I think that unlike Houston, I think that the time will come or can come for Jeremy where he can become the starting point guard for the Lakers, regardless of whether you think he should be already. I think that the team wants to invest in him to build him up to that. Now, if you don't like hearing me talk about Jeremy in ways that you think are negative, then I would advise you to stop listening now, because I'm going to give more of an assessment of Jeremy in a way that I think is realistic. And so if you want to do that, if you don't want to hear me criticize Jeremy or whatever, then stop listening now. Okay? What I noticed when watching the game yesterday, and I think this is really a thing for Jeremy. Jeremy is still very inexperienced. He's still very he still gets very jittery as a player. And he does it in such a way that it's like a young player. Like when it's coming down to crunch time, you can see He's still a little unsure with his decision making. Sometimes he is making the quote-unquote boneheaded decisions. He is attacking the basket when maybe he should be looking to pass the ball. The good thing is, Jeremy himself said after the game, this was a good learning experience for him. The good thing is, I believe that LA is going to be the place for Jeremy where he actually gets to lock in, have proper development, have a team truly invest in him, and invest in his development where in a few years you're going to see the player that Jeremy is supposed to be and what he can be. And I think that if Jeremy and his team makes the commitment to stay in LA, that it's probably going to end up being the best thing for him. Not because I think Byron Scott's a good coach, because I don't think Byron's a good coach, which I've said before many times, and I'll tell anybody else that wants to hear that. But I think Byron is beginning to do a little bit of a tough love thing with Jeremy. I'm not going to play you, and I'm going to show you that you need to kind of change your game a little bit. And you need to do more of what Ronnie is doing, which is a little steadier, a little less risky, and focus a little bit more on defense. Now, I know this all sounds, geez, you're a traitor, Paul. You're betraying Jeremy. No, I'm not. I'm invested. I'm interested in Jeremy's long-term future. There's still a lot of kinks in Jeremy's game that have to get worked out. And the one thing I do believe with Byron, even though I don't think he's a great coach, and there are issues as Kobe is afraid of Jeremy stealing a spotlight. Okay, I do believe that Byron is actually interested in developing JLin, whereas I did not feel that way about the situation in Houston. Here, and so to look at this a different way, you can put somebody out there. You can put out a young guy, and you can have him start, and you can let him do his thing and make mistakes, but you don't help him. And so even though he's your starter, he's not growing. And eventually, a couple years down the line, he's got a bunch of bad habits, and you don't care. You just move on to the next guy. That's the way I think that Houston looked at Jeremy, right? And then, of course, in the second year, he didn't start. They didn't value Jeremy, in my opinion. They valued Jeremy as a bench guy, but that's the only thing they saw him as. You know, the Kevin McHale, well, I think Jeremy's finally accepted what his role or whatever in the NBA. No, that is the wrong situation for Jeremy. Obviously, we know what happened with the Knicks, and Golden State was Jeremy's rookie year. I think the Lakers value Jeremy beyond that. I think they're ready to work with him over a period of time. What Jeremy needs, from my perspective, he needs a situation where he can settle in for a couple of years, where he's not under insane, ridiculous media attacks and scrutiny like he suffered in Houston. And the fans are just all, they're all negative on him and everything. It's almost like he can kind of go back to point guard school a little bit and just slowly develop and come off of Linsanity mode and Linsanity hype mode, including from his fans, and just let yourself grow and settle in. Jeremy hasn't had any of that. First, he didn't think he was going to make the NBA. His first year is kind of an afterthought. Then he completely blows up in New York. There's all kinds of positive feedback. There's all kinds of negative feedback. He goes to Houston. He's going to be the savior of Houston basketball, which he himself said. He's super stressed out. He's having tons of pregame anxiety and all this stuff, which he has admitted in his testimonies. Houston's not doing him right. And finally, that kind of toxic relationship ends after 2 years, and he finally goes to the Lakers. Now the Lakers, they don't have a point guard. Jeremy's going to come in, and Jeremy's going to be a superstar again and all this. Jeremy, he just hasn't had the opportunity to kind of exhale and kind of chill out and just be him. LA and California is the place for Jeremy to be reborn, to put it in a different way. This is where Jeremy can kind of get back to basics, get back to his roots, get back to himself, and become the player he can become. Kobe's not going to be around a lot longer. I don't think Kobe's playing beyond the end of next year. I really don't. I don't think Byron Scott's going to be around a whole long time either. My guess is either Byron goes next year when Kobe goes, or maybe they give Byron one more year after that. In other words, okay, we couldn't do much. You kind of had to manage Kobe, so we'll give you one more year to see what you can do without Kobe. My assumption is the Lakers will not make the playoffs this year, and they will not make the playoffs next year. I think Byron, I know that this sounds whatever. I think Byron likes Jeremy. He does. He's not Byron's kind of player or whatever, but I think Byron actually respects Jeremy, which if you can't remember, when we came into this season, Byron was talking Jeremy up. But I actually believe Byron. I didn't believe McHale. I didn't believe Morey. But I believe Byron. Byron's not a bad guy. He's just not a great coach. And Byron's got to do what Kobe wants him to do, in my opinion. And he's going to do that. Well, that changes when Kobe's not around. And I mentioned the other day in the video that Jeremy can be stubborn. He is stubborn. So he's got to kind of break down. He's got to take his game back down to the fundamental level. Kind of break it down and build it back up. Change some of his habits and stuff. Again, if you put JLin in the Mike D'Antoni pick and roll today, he could put up insanity numbers right now. There's no question about it in my mind. I'm not saying that Jeremy's not a good player or any of that. What I'm saying is for Jeremy to become a complete, full point guard that can succeed in different systems, he needs to alter things a bit. And I think that LA is the place for him to do it. So what I can see is in a year or 2 years, Jeremy is the starting point guard for the Lakers. His game is where he wants to be. His maturity and emotional state is where he wants to be. And then he can roll. But for him to do that, because of his personality, he needs stability. Doesn't need to go to a new team every year. This isn't a perfect situation, but I do believe that the Lakers are invested in Jeremy for the long term. And Houston wasn't. And obviously New York wasn't. He needs that. He's played for 4 coaches in 5 years. And 4 teams in 5 years. He still hasn't been able to just kind of get his feet on the ground in the NBA and just feel comfortable. And I think that's affected his development. In fact, I'm sure of it. This happens all the time to players. Yeah, you have your superstars and whatever, and they're going to be great. They're going to be catered to. For tons of other players, the way that they're coached and the habits that they learn can drastically affect their outcome as a player. Are they going to reach their potential? Are they going to wash out of the league in a couple of years? Are they going to become an afterthought or bench player when they could have been a starter? The point guard position right now in the NBA is absolutely loaded. It's very difficult right now. Jeremy knows that. So it's unfortunate timing for him. So for him to be able to compete at the level that he wants and be able to be a starter consistently, he kind of needs to go to point guard school right now, in my opinion, and be able to feel calm and get his nerves tampered down, like in the late game situation against Portland. Not because Jeremy's weak, no, because that's reality. If you watch him playing, that's the truth. And that's why I will say to the fans, I know the fans yell at me and I'm too negative. No. I'm trying to be realistic. If you watch Jeremy play, sometimes in kind of the tense situations and stuff, he'll still kind of get a little amped out. So that takes him away from playing his best. He needs to figure out a way to deal with that. The primary way of dealing with that is you keep going through it. You work at it. And then you adapt. Well, Jeremy needs more time to do that. And I think Jeremy is a pretty sensitive individual. I know people, we can all go back to insanity and look at this example or that example. We're not looking for peaks. We're looking for a steady, linear line. We want Jeremy to be able to play at a certain level and a certain consistently game in and game out. That's what I want for him. And so he needs to be able to learn to play slower, not just at the full speed pace. He needs to be able to settle his nerves in some of these situations and just get used to them. And this is what Kobe said the other day. And I agree with Kobe about this. When Kobe was asked a question, hey, I don't know, whatever. What do you think about Jeremy, or is Jeremy's consistency or whatever? And then he said the whole thing about Jeremy's got to learn to relax and smart people can take themselves too seriously. Kobe didn't say it particularly artfully, but I know what he meant. What he meant is Jeremy's just got to chill out. And he's right about that. Jeremy, he just gets really geeked up, and he's trying to live up to the image of him, the myth of him. So like I said, he's going to try to attack. He's attacking the rim yesterday and late in the game, and LaMarcus Aldridge just swatting his shot away. Jeremy has to learn to use the pieces on his team, be a general. If you're going to go to the rim, but somebody like LaMarcus Aldridge is there waiting to block you, then you figure out, as the point guard and the general of the team, you figure out how you can move your chess pieces on offense to help the team and get success. Who can you pass the ball to that's not going to get their shot blocked so that you score and you win? And he's still got a little ways to go with that so that he can perform at that level, game in and game out, in all situations, including late in the game, whatever. Jeremy's come a long way in his career. In Houston, it was, Jeremy's, he's like a deer in the headlights in the playoffs. So he's working through these different stages of development. The thing that other players cannot imitate with Jeremy is they can't imitate his talent. They can't mimic his speed. They can't mimic his ingenuity in coming up with ways to score. They can't imitate his ability to get to the rim. Now what Jeremy needs to do is take all of that exceptional physical talent and add in the experience element to it and kind of the floor generalship to it, and add in the mental aspect of it, including being calm and being able to just kind of settle in and master the situation rather than letting the situation master you. the way that Jeremy reminds me right now when I watch him play in some of these instances, it's like if you took two coaches of a sport. Say you were taking two coaches of soccer. One is a coach who's been coaching for 20 years and breaking down film of games for 20 years. And the other is a coach who's been coaching for 2 years and breaking down film for 2 years. If you put those two coaches in and you have them both watch the same game film, the coach that's been coaching for 20 years is going to see a lot more than the coach that's been coaching for 2 years. Jeremy needs to kind of expand his basketball mind. Jeremy's extremely smart. It has nothing to do with intellect. This is more about experience and kind of being able to have a full field of vision rather than a narrow tunnel vision. As he does that, then you will see his game completely open up. And there's other things too, like continuing to work on his jump shot, giving that a couple more years to settle in and get better and better, which it definitely will. I'm confident of that with the work that Jeremy puts in, continuing to sharpen defense, and so on. Jeremy, just to restate, Jeremy needs a stable situation in which he is happy to be able to accomplish this. And I think that LA is that situation for him. Forget about Byron, forget about Kobe. Again, remember, Kobe's not going to be around a lot longer. Okay? The organization is already beginning to plan for life after Kobe. And it is my belief that Jeremy's part of their plan. Now, again, if the Lakers don't resign this offseason, I'll be about as upset as anybody could be. If Jeremy chooses to go to another situation, then I respect that. He has to do what he thinks is right, what his team believes is the best thing for him. I think that for Jeremy, I think settling in, including accepting the little diss or disrespect of scrub Ronnie Price starting before you, could be the best thing for him for the rest of his career. Let go of the frustration, let go of the ego, let go of Mr. Insanity, and kind of go back to point guard school a little bit. Like I said, what I will say about Ronnie's not a great player, and he never will be a great player. His best days are already behind him. Ronnie is steady most of the time. He's pretty steady. He doesn't try to do too much. He doesn't try to do things he can't do. Look, Ronnie played great yesterday. He had 8 assists and 1 turnover. Now, again, my point in this whole commentary is not to say Ronnie great, Jeremy not good. No. Jeremy super talented, like kind of a diamond in a field of nothing. And Ronnie's like copper or something in a field of nothing. Ronnie's, you know what you're going to get with Ronnie. Jeremy, you don't always know what you're going to get. Jeremy needs to harness that diamond level talent and be able to kind of start to normalize it and stabilize it so he can do it each game. And he really needs to be able to see the game a little bit more completely. And for him to do that, he has to feel comfortable. He needs to settle in, just kind of chill, which is what Kobe said. And I think that's best going to be accomplished by being with one franchise. And if I had to pick one franchise, this is the franchise I would pick. Even though it's not a perfect situation, everybody, all of us fans want to see him start right now. We just want to see him shine right now. Because if you do put him in the right circumstance, he can shine right now. I want to see him shine for the next decade. I don't want to see him be set up and he shines and then he's up and down, and then a couple of years later he's just relegated to the bench. I want to see him kind of go in and develop a little bit more right now and be ready to be the guy in a season or two. And I do believe that's what the Lakers see with him, regardless of what Byron sees. But, again, we've already heard Kobe and Byron say things similar to that. That's kind of how they see Jeremy too. We know he can do more. Championship level point guard. Jeremy's just got to go through some of these young mistakes. You can see that they're kind of looking to the future with Jeremy. So that's why I'm more happy now. I'm starting to get calmer about the situation. I don't care what Jeremy does this year because this team's not going anywhere. They're not that good. I care about what happens for Jeremy's career. And so I think I've seen too many players in this league that think that they're ready to be the star. They're ready to be the guy, and they're not ready. And so they go to situations, they fail, and then they're done. Look, Dion Waiters, the guy that was traded from Cleveland yesterday, he was determined that he was a starter and he was great and he was going to be whatever, and now he's gone from Cleveland. And he's mad. And I don't want to see Jeremy take that path. I want Jeremy to build up the right way, develop the right way. Because then if you develop the right way and invest in it for a couple of years, then you'll be ready for sustained excellence. Rather, again, than these guys who they're like a meteor. They come, they flame up, then they're gone. As we all know, as Lin fans, that's the way a lot of people see Jeremy already. He was a Linsanity fluke guy. He's not a fluke. And now let's, in my opinion, dig in, be humble, accept your temporary role. You're in a great city with family and friends around. You're in Cali, California. Let's go to work. Let's go to work. Jeremy hasn't lost any belief in himself at all. We know he's confident. We know he still feels he can be a great point guard. I think he's finally with an organization that believes that too. So if I were Jeremy Lin, again, I'm not getting the information that Jeremy's getting. I don't know what the organization's saying to him or whatever. If I were Jeremy Lin and his team, I would probably want to stay in LA and set up firm roots there and start working your way back to the top. And this time, when you get to the top, you're going to stay at the top. And nobody's going to be able to say anything. I don't care what the hater fans of the LA group are saying. And there's plenty of them, as we know. But again, one of the reasons why LA is so good for Jeremy is because of, quite honestly, the demographics there. LA has a gigantic Asian population. Many of those people are going to support Jeremy. So even if you have this large group of doubters and dislikers, there still is a huge core of people that are going to support Jeremy and want to see him succeed. He can't get that in a lot of other cities in the NBA right now. Okay? And that's the truth. Again, I don't care. I don't want to get into demographic talk or race talk or any of that stuff. I'm trying to be real here. Jeremy's going to get more support in Los Angeles than he's going to get in Houston. Jeremy's going to get more support in Los Angeles than he's going to get in Milwaukee. Jeremy's going to get more support in Los Angeles than he's going to get in Dallas. And the Asian community in Southern California has power. They have clout. When I got into it with the guy at the beginning of the season on Twitter, the guy that wrote, the Lakers are only getting Jeremy Lin because he's Asian, which is completely false, in my opinion. part of the point that he was making was that, yeah, there's a lot of Asian fans in Southern California. Well, there are a lot there. Again, there's only a few other cities that can even rival that. Well, guess what? If you've got a large group of people, that group of people has power. They have clout. And you do have to cater to them if you want their business. Now, again, Mitch Kupchak wanted Jeremy from the jump. So this isn't a charity case. Mitch wanted Jeremy because he can play. But Jeremy's got leverage by playing with the Lakers because of the fan base there, because of the heavy Asian presence in Los Angeles. He's got more leverage than he will have in almost any other city he plays in. That's a big reason why I think it's good for him to stay in LA. Not because he's a charity case, but because those fans, many of them, will continue to support him, even when times are tough. He's not going to get that. He didn't get it in Houston, as we all know, right? He needs that. As he goes through this last, I think, in my opinion, this is the last time he's got to climb to the top of the mountain. And then he's going to be cool. He needs as much support and stability as he can get so that he can get to the top of the mountain. Jeremy's climbed a lot of mountains in his basketball career, starting from middle school or wherever on. He's had to deal with all kinds of obstacles, all kinds of backlash, all kinds of just stereotyping and dissing and being overlooked and this and that. What I'm saying is, if you look at Jeremy becoming a successful NBA player, what we want him to be, think about it as climbing up Mount Everest, okay? Tallest mountain in the world. Jeremy is real close to the top now. He's already climbed 20,000, 25,000 feet. And the top of the mountain is 30,000 feet. He's got to get every advantage, everything he can get so that he can get up that last 5,000 feet. I want Jeremy to get to the top of Everest and stay there. So I want him to have every possible thing he can get, including fan support, including stability of one city, including stability with a coach, including stability with an organization. And that's where I'm coming from. And I believe the Lakers want Jeremy to succeed. Whether or not you think Byron Scott wants him to succeed, which I actually do think he wants him to succeed, I think the Lakers want him to succeed. So again, that's why I'm optimistic. I think Jeremy himself, from what he's saying, from what he's writing, he's getting it. He's getting more comfortable. He's accepting his role for now. He's saying things like, yeah, I need the experience. I'm learning from this. We're learning. It's getting there. I think Jeremy has the vision now. I think he can see what Byron sees in him, what the organization sees in him. I think he's starting to calm down and really settle in all ways. And that's when you're going to see the best of him. And let's be honest here. Let's be realistic here. This is not going to be an instantaneous transformation. Sure, Jeremy can, again, we know Jeremy can come out on any night and score 30 points and dish 15 assists because we've seen it. We're not looking for that. I don't need flash for Jeremy. We all know Jeremy's good. What we want from Jeremy is little things, little baby steps. Turnover per 36 gets to 3.0 or less. shooting percentages go up. Defense gets a little better, gets a little less anxious in the big moments, or some of them. That's what we're looking for here. That's what we're looking for here. So I would tell people, ramp down your expectations. Just support Jeremy and try to be positive. Linspired California said on Twitter the other day, yeah, look, I'm just going to be positive. Instead of all this negativity and attacking people and attacking Kobe and attacking Byron. I'm not saying I love everything they do, but let's look for the long term here. If the Lakers have Jeremy's best interest at heart, and I actually think they do. I certainly hope they do, because Houston didn't, in my opinion. Let's just ease back and let this thing play itself out. And look, let's be honest here too. In the last 3 games for the Lakers, I believe, Jeremy's played the entire fourth quarter in all 3 of them. Now, that only happened in the Portland game because Ronnie got hurt, but still, it's not like Byron won't reward him when he's playing well. But I just tell people, this isn't Houston. This is a different situation than Houston. We know how Morey views players. They're assets. You're in, you're out. He doesn't care, in my opinion. The Lakers are not like that. So when Jeannie Buss says to Jeremy Lin, you're home, I think she actually believes that. Remember, Jeannie and her brothers and sisters, they're making the decisions. Of course, along with Mitch Kupchak. But if the owners like you, you're not going anywhere. The coach might go, but you're not going. So that's it. That's how I feel. That's why I feel optimistic. I'm ready myself to settle in and let Jeremy steadily improve. And again, it's a finite process. There's only so many things to master. And Jeremy has improved on everything since his time in New York. He's clearly improved as a player. There's only so much more he has to do. He's getting there. So whatever he can do to be in the best frame of mind and the best environment and the most supportive environment to do that, that's what I want him to do. And I think that LA, in the end, can be the best place for that. We'll see. We'll see what offers or whatever comes up for him this summer. But I have a feeling that he's going to end up staying in LA. And I kind of want him to stay in LA. Actually, I really want him to stay in LA. So if he doesn't, then he doesn't. That's fine. We'll follow him everywhere he goes. But I think that this could be the best thing for him. And we can finally get beyond this up and down part of his career. And if Steve Nash actually does come around the team and help, which I think that he will. I don't know what's going on for Steve or what's going on in his personal life, or maybe he's not thrilled with the current coaching or situation in Los Angeles. But I have heard before that Steve Nash intends to be around the Lakers for quite a while. I mean, obviously that can help Jeremy. We know that. We know they're friends. And if Steve is able to assist Jeremy in his development as a player, that would be gigantic. So that's where it's at. I feel content. I'm content about this game. I'm content about Jeremy's situation. And I am hoping right now that he stays in Los Angeles. I do think it's going to take another, this year, maybe through next year or so, for him to kind of get past all the Houston PTSD, kind of get past all of just the whirlwind that he's been on the last few years, and just kind of really build up his game and settle his mind and kind of settle into one place and be able to stay there. And then we can see the true Jeremy Lin. Then we can see the guy that we saw before and be able to do that every single day and every single game with a team that's supporting him. There's no issues. There's no questioning. There's no jealousy and all of this. So that's what I hope that he does. That's my viewpoint for right now. That's why I'm kind of feel at peace with the situation. We'll see what happens, but that is it for this video. Now, the next game coming up for the Lakers will take place tomorrow, Wednesday, January 7th, and it will be in Staples Center as they take on the crosstown rivals, the Los Angeles Clippers, who they are still the best team in Los Angeles, which they've been for a couple of years now. However, there's some issues there. The Clippers are not playing to the level that people thought they were going to play to. I mean, they're still clearly in the playoffs, and they're still good, but they're not as good as I thought they were going to be. But they will be motivated against the Lakers. You can be sure of that. And it is technically a home game for the Clippers. So whatever issues the Clippers might have, they'll all go away when they see the Lakers. So you can expect the Clippers to come out full force and want to pound the Lakers into the ground. It's not going to be that easy, though, because the Lakers are getting better. Will we see Tarek Black for the first time? I don't know. That'd be nice, but maybe the coaching staff wants to get him some more practice time or have him learn the offensive sets a little bit more before we see that. We're not sure. We'll see. I do expect the game to be competitive. The Lakers are going to certainly want to have a good performance because they're the kind of battle of Los Angeles here, and they want to show up and look good. Kobe will be back. I don't know right now the status of Ronnie Price. My guess is that he would play. If he just had a nasty gash, then they can stitch it up. He should be fine, although he'll probably have bruising and swelling, so we'll see. I don't know if Wesley Johnson's going to play in that game. I think he might be out like maybe a little bit longer. So that game will take place on January 7th in the United States, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, and it will take place on Thursday, January 8th at 11:30 a.m. in Taipei, Taiwan, throughout China, and in the Philippines. Okay, thank you to Gary Chen for the artwork you're looking at right now. We'll put information in the video description below the video player so you can check out Gary on his Facebook page. Gary is an artist and blogger in Taiwan. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Your comments below. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think I'm nuts for what I'm saying? Do you just think Jeremy needs to leave LA as quickly as he can and to heck with Byron Scott and Kobe and the rest? You let me know. We'll also put information in the video description so you can come and follow us on Twitter. We love to talk to people there. We have a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you come and join us there. Also, how you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, which has over 3,500 members and growing all the time. Once again, I am PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Also in the video description will be highlights of this game. So if you did not get a chance to check it out, you can go and check them out. And we also encourage you to go and check out the Jeremy Lin highlight people. There's almost always highlights of Jeremy's exploits game by game. So you can go and examine that as well. So that is it for now. I hope you're all having a great night and a great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. We'll see you again in about a little over 24 hours. I am sorry that this video got made late. I intended to make it last night, but I fell asleep. And today, I said earlier on Twitter I would make it shortly. Something else came up, so life gets in the way sometimes, and there's other things I got to do, but we're getting it up now, and hopefully you can enjoy it, and we can all kind of reflect on where things are for Jeremy as we move forward here. Like I said, I'm optimistic, and I don't think this is blind optimism. I was very realistic about the situation in Houston, and we all felt he needed out of Houston, and he got out of Houston. I don't think that's the same situation here. I really don't. So I am feeling right now as though I would like to see him remain in Los Angeles and kind of use that as the base camp for the last climb up the remaining amount of Mount Everest, so to speak, for his career. Okay, that is it. Talk to you guys again soon. Until that time, hope you're having a nice winter in the Northern Hemisphere and enjoying the summer down in the Southern Hemisphere. Take care.